So I guess the thing to say right now is happy Friday and welcome to the Red Dawn Media YouTube channel. I'm Matt Levine and I'm fired up to bring you this Red Dawn 66. 6 headlines, 6 thoughts in a week chock full of news and headlines. I grabbed 6 of them. I'm going to share with you now, and we'll begin with number 1 and the governor in the beautiful state of New Hampshire. His name is Christopher Sununu, and he had a busy week in more ways than one. I'll explain the picture in a moment. Get to the headline right now. From Newsmax, Governor Sununu, to Newsmax, Harris can't run from record. Now, I would say about 98-ish% of the time, I do not agree with Governor Sununu. On this, I agree. And it immediately made me think of a point or a thought that I'm going to share with you now, and it pertains to a Hall of Fame coach, my favorite football coach of all time, one of my favorite coaches, if not, I would say top 3 coach or manager in the history of sports. He was able to coach my beloved New York Giants to 2 Super Bowl championships back in the glory days in the mid-'80s and early 1990s. That's Satuna, who was quoted, Bill Parcells, for one time saying this, and it pertains to Sununu and Kamala. You are what your record says you are. Pure, simple, and you're damn right, Coach Parcells. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, she'll be what her record says she is, and that's a failure. And I agree 100% with Governor Sununu on this. Like I said, I don't agree on most of the things that he brings to the table. Now, as for that picture, you're wondering, right? Let's get back to it. Was he performing the Heimlich maneuver? Absolutely. He had a good quote this week, and he was a hero. This gentleman there with the beard and the hat was taking part in Hampton Bay, New Hampshire this week in a lobster roll eating contest. Governor Sununu saw he was choking on a chunk of lobster. He was the first to notice it. He stepped into action and he saved the guy's life. Now, the guy went on to eat 7 more lobster rolls, and the contest continued on. But again, Governor Sununu, how about that? Came to the aid and became a hero. Good job. The second thought on the second headline, it's one that it crushed me this week. As soon as I saw it, it was like, oh no. And you know, they usually happen in 3 celebrity deaths. Knock on my glass desk. This was the only one, at least of note this week, that I saw. And again, it was a really sad one. And you come to terms with it, and you recognize the greatness of this man right here. And we'll continue to do that once he's gone, and no more work is produced by the great James Earl Jones. Passed away at the age of 93, produced some of the greatest work in the history of theater, film, as a voice-over artist. His range was undeniable. Revered for Field of Dreams, as you see in the headline, Darth Vader's voice. The Broadway regular, again, passes away at the age of 93 in Dutchess County, New York. Now, when it comes to his all-time greatest roles, it's one of my all-time greatest movies, Field of Dreams. He plays the character Terrence Mann. And this is the scene right now that gives me chills every time I watch it, so I'm going to share it with you. A great scene from the movie Field of Dreams. Take a look and a listen to the legendary James Earl Jones.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray.
May he rest in peace. The great James Earl Jones. Headline number 3 from Fox News. I'll read it to you. Some pictures to accompany and a logo. Stefanik claims victory for Trump, calls debate moderators pro-Kamala activists. That's House GOP Conference Chairwoman Elise Stefanik, Republican, New York, declares victory for former President Donald Trump on his Tuesday night debate with Kamala Harris. Conference Chairwoman Stefanik, thank you so much for summing it up the way I felt watching that debate and those activists on ABC. They're calling it ABCD as in Democrat. Add another letter to the network. Unbelievable. They kept fact-checking Donald Trump. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris. And she's right. When it comes to the moderators and when it comes to my personal thought on this, I am blown away by the lack of responsibility they show by being fair and impartial. Impartiality was what I learned and studied. I took away as the number one thing when I was a student many moons ago, learning broadcast journalism and what rules then applied. And number one, again, was impartiality. None of that was shown by the ABC moderators who were propagandists and activists. Stefanik, 100% nail on the head hit. In fact, it disgusted me so much that I just decided with the MSM, I'm done. Absolutely 100%. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. And you know what? The majority of mainstream media, like I said a moment ago with Governor Sununu, 98%-ish I disagree with. That's about the same percentage of the mainstream media, I'd say right now, who portray themselves as activists and propagandists. So I put a fork in them, and you know what? Fork you, biased mainstream media. How about that? Let's move on to the state of Massachusetts. And a field hockey team had some guts this week to do this. Massachusetts high school field hockey team forfeits a game to avoid male opponent. The field hockey team, if you're wondering what the hell is field hockey, it's a bigger sport internationally, and I'd say in the Northeast than any part of the country. Having grown up and went to high school in the Northeast, it's played by females here in America, but internationally, dudes play it. But in Massachusetts, they didn't want the guy to play with the girls. And the high school is Dighton Rehoboth. And apparently, the team that they were going to play and forfeited against, there was an incident last year where they had a male on the females team, and one of their players were hurt. So they said, we're not going to do it this year. We're forfeiting. Unless you have an all-biological female squad, forget it. And also, to give you some context or color, I was reading about this. This one game against this rival and forfeiting it, which will count as a loss in the column, in the loss column and standings, it may decide the outcome for them where they sit in their conference, state playoffs, postseason ramifications. But they stood on principle. Good for them. We need more high schools. We need more girls' sports teams, individual sports, if it's swimming or tennis, to come out against this and say, I'll forfeit rather than play against a team that's not all biologically female and has an advantage with a male. Let's move on to the next headline. Here it is. FLOTUS 45. Melania Trump questions husband's assassination attempt as she promotes book. And you see the quote there. We need to uncover the truth. I'm going to play some of FLOTUS 45 for you right now so you can take a look and listen to the promotional video she did, or the video she did in conjunction with getting the word that her book is coming out on October 8th. So take a look and listen to Melania Trump.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
Absolutely. The truth must be revealed. We must have it uncovered for the American public. It's unbelievable, things that she eloquently summarized there. The fact that this is lingering on. That's my thought on the assassination attempt, but my real thought that I want to share with you as part of this 66 here, 6 headlines, 6 thoughts, is this. When it comes to FLOTUS 45, it's very simple. I've always put it this way. This is my own quote or own way of summing it up with her. I would say it's class and beauty personified. I hope she gets back into the White House. You miss having both of those associated, class and beauty personified with a first lady. And finally, the last of the 6 headlines is this one. From One America News, President Biden has taken 48 years worth of vacation in just 4 years. There you see Sleepy Joe on the beach, maybe in Delaware, it could be North Carolina. He goes out to California. He's just having a good old time. And by this, they mean the 48 years, right? He's taken 532 vacation days. 40% of his presidency has been on vacation. So if you take those 532 days and you protract them over what a normal worker would get with their 2 weeks a year over 48 years, that's how you come away with the numbers in that headline. So Sleepy Joe loves vacation. Go figure. My thought on this: how does the leader of the free world get away with it? And how does society let him get away with it? Says a lot about where America is nowadays. Anyway, let's wrap up the 66 here on Red Dawn Media. Again, 6 thoughts, 6 headlines. Give you a little bit of an opinion on what's going on in a world full of headlines. Pick your poison. Lots of news going on. We'll continue to cycle through it right here on the Red Dawn Media YouTube channel. Until then, the next time, all I can say is TGIF. Happy Friday. Adios. That was it. I'll leave you that. Yep.